what if our software and AMS aren't integrated? I'd be really blunt with you and say, change your email platform. That's the answer. I do a lot of audits for associations, and when I look at this and they say we cannot do email automation because we're not integrated, I say, ooh, that's a rough game. It's a rough game. You're spending so much money on staff time, so much other things. So there are places where we can do other automations that do not require an integration, but if you really looked at the cost associated with switching to an email platform that does integrate, you're going to be in a lot better spot. So first of all, you need to make sure that your systems can do this. Yeah, you should be in an email platform that can do automation. You should have an AMS, some degree of an integration. So these are the 5 steps to start off with building your workflows. We're going to walk through each one more, but essentially it's this. We want to identify our goals and objectives. We need to sketch out the workflow. We need to ensure that the audiences and data support your goals. You're going to create the emails and then pull it all together and get moving. So let's dive into each one of them. So these first 2 steps should be where you spend most of your time. I see all the time that associations get frustrated and give up because they did it the wrong way. They started with creating emails and marketing said, oh, this is going to be a great idea. We're going to do this. Then they went backwards. They said, well, can our system do this? Does our data support it? What's our goal? And in the end, marketing spent all this time creating beautiful emails, great content for nothing because they didn't start at the top. So don't get frustrated. Start on this section first. So first, you're going to want to ask yourself these questions. Why are you doing this campaign? What's your objective? What's the benefit to the member? How's it going to benefit the organization? What data points will show success? There's others here depending on what campaign you're looking at, but why are you even doing this? Why are you about to advance into something that's going to take you about a decent amount of time to get set up? Make sure it's clear. Now, second, we need to make sure you sketch out your workflow. This is the biggest pain point people have. Once you have an idea, you have your goals and objectives, get a piece of paper, get your whiteboard, and write it out. What will this automation look like? The person starts here, then they get email 1. Then if they do this, they go here. Whatever it is, you're branching, everything that's happening, write it out, sketch it out. Then verbally talk it through with a colleague. Then move to the next step. This is something even for me who I've been building automated campaigns for 15 plus years. Still happens all the time. In my process internally with my staff, we have to do this. It's non-negotiable, even though we do these all the time, all day, every day, we're building automations because we find problems. Similar, we have a client IMA, which we'll talk about later, who did this. They spent so much time on number 1 here, identifying their goals and objectives. It was great, fantastic, we loved it. Then we moved into the sketching out part. They had already sketched out their flow, but then when I went back through it and verbally talked it through with them, we said, wait a second, we have a crux point here that does not make any sense. What are we doing about this? It took us 30, 45 minutes of problem solving to say, where are we moving this and how are we doing it to ensure that the flow would actually work appropriately. So take your time here. This is where you should spend the bulk of your work. And the next step, that surprises most people. I think most people think it's later. This is the first step for me.
I've gotten on calls with associations and I say, like, what are we trying to track with this campaign? And they're really just distributing emails. And I'm like, so where are you pushing them? Where's the conversion happening? And there's no actual conversion. It's more like, they don't know what, they launched it, but they also don't know what the goal of it was. And so then it's hard to say what was my return on investment here because there was no goal in place to begin with. And that's very common.
Yep. And right, like, why are we even doing this? How is this benefiting our members? Or sometimes it is just mainly for the benefit of staff, right? Like, we need to get something that's manual off people's plates. But even with that, what's the goal? Why are we even still doing this? How is it benefiting our members and their experience here? Okay, so next up, this is the next time consuming part. ensuring that your audiences and data support your goal. So once you have your plan, you've got your goals, you got your objectives, why we're doing this is our vision, then we take that and our handwritten paper, screenshot of our whiteboard, whatever it is, take it to your IT team, your data person, whoever is going to know the data the best that you're going to need to figure this out for. Talk it through with them. Say, okay, this is what we want to do. This is how we think it's going to work. These are the audiences we think we need to use. What do you think? I tell you, 9 out of 10, the data person's going to say, ooh, you forgot something. Right? Either that trigger is not going to work exactly how we think it's going to, or later down the road, you have decision steps that remove people from campaigns. Those aren't going to work exactly how you think they're going to. So it's your next opportunity to hash it through again, make some adjustments here, depending on that. I've never had, I don't think ever that I can think of, had a campaign be completely scratched because of this conversation. But I've had a lot that have changed a lot or have suddenly split into three campaigns really quick just because we needed different triggers or something like that. So make sure you take the time to talk to the people with data. This is where people get very frustrated. They go through all this energy and then they find out that especially decision to how to remove people, how to say someone's converted is a pain point that they couldn't actually identify. They can't do it. So check that out. Then create your emails. Okay, you've got your vision. Also with your goals and objectives and why this is a benefit to members. Hopefully this applies to great emails that you're now going to build. You're going through all this additional energy to make an automated campaign. Make your emails great. Okay, think a little bit out of the box. Apply your email design best practices. Keep your emails short and sweet. Make sure that you are fully compliant in your footers. Just all the things you can think of. Take a little extra time on those emails to make them great, because I've seen so many organizations who've spent so much time on the front end and then their emails are so long and boring and just talk about them that it doesn't matter. It's not the automation's fault, it's the email fault. Then you're going to pull it all together. So take your time, okay? Do everything else. Take your time, make sure everything's perfect. It's way more time consuming to quickly set up an automation and then be changing stuff out all the time. Don't do that. Get all of it done. Make sure your emails are perfect. Make sure everything's been reviewed and approved by everyone under the sun that needs to do that. Then pull it into your campaign. Create your journey, add your emails, apply your audiences, double check your settings, and then launch it. There's a lot here, but it depends on the systems you're in, right? Every email platform that we work in, this is all a little bit different. The way you set up your journey, the settings you're going to touch, all those things. So make sure you're very clear about how people are triggering in, how they're exiting, how you're gauging success, and if people can re-enter or not. There's a number of things here. Make sure you're very clear about your settings, what's happening. Then next up is monitoring and adjusting. Again, like Taryn said, we cannot just set it and be like, oh, thank heaven we accomplished this, we're out. We have to monitor and adjust. So especially with lead gen campaigns, we're going to talk about renewals, onboard, just really anything. But especially lead gen, when you're talking to people who are kind of cold to your organization, you have to be checking on those and making sure. So an example is going to be this IMA campaign that we're going to look at here coming up. They had one of those points where it was like, for some reason, people are really gravitating to these links and these benefits. They're not really gravitating to this one. So we cut it out. We're not like, why are we there? Why do we spend this energy? We don't want to keep updating these many emails. We nixed them through, right? Similar with renewals. People have different cadences for their renewal campaigns. There's, and for onboarding. There's schools of thought for both of them. So then we need to just make sure what's working, what's not. Are people even making it through the end of that campaign, or is it too long? I mean, those numbers that people didn't unsubscribe after email number 3 is huge. A lot of times we see the opposite. People are sending way too many onboarding emails, So by email 5, the unsubscribe rates are going through the roof. Just cut it.
I think what so that's a good point. I think what Ermia does is they exclude anybody who's running through onboarding from other email sends at the time, which is really a good best practice too. I think we always I tend to forget about too. It's like if somebody's an onboarding campaign, should they still be getting weekly news or daily news in addition to that? It may not make sense. It may make sense to pull them out of it.
Yep. Totally agree.